Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Literary Distraction with me, Hazel Gaynor. It's great to be back talking about my next book. And again, thank you to everybody who left such lovely comments on my post last week about The Lighthouse Keeper's Daughter. And congratulations to my book giveaway winner, Sandra. So that's on the way to you now. And I'll have another giveaway this week as well. So I hope you're all keeping well, keeping safe, and another week done. I think we have to kind of look at it this way now, don't we? I think around the world, people are starting to maybe get back to some baby steps towards normality. So maybe we're turning a corner, we'll see. So in the meantime, let's keep reading and talking about books. This week's book is another totally different place, era, venue person to talk to you about. This week is Meet Me in Monaco, which comes in large and small sizes. So gorgeous hardcover, gorgeous small paperback. And what's the book about? So this is the second book that I co-wrote with Heather Webb. So I talked to you a few weeks ago about how we came to write our first novel together last Christmas in Paris, which was set through the 4 years of the First World War. And because we'd had such a fabulous time writing that together, we were keen to do another book. And we started talking about what and where and when would that be set. And really, the reason we came to writing Meet Me in Monaco, which is inspired by Grace Kelly, famous Hollywood star, and perhaps the world's most famous princess, in that she married Prince Rainier of Monaco, and their wedding was the wedding of the century in the 1950s. So when we came to thinking about what would we write next, we really went to the opposite end of the fictional spectrum to war. And we thought, let's set a book somewhere very lush and warm and summery and glamorous. And very quickly, we settled on the French Riviera, which is synonymous with Cannes Film Festival. And from that, obviously, we then started to think about famous Hollywood stars of the golden era of Hollywood. And Grace Kelly very quickly came to mind. She's very much somebody we all associate with that iconic era of Hollywood films, herself, Audrey Hepburn, and obviously Grace had this incredible whirlwind romance and met and married a real life prince. And her wedding gown is still one of the most admired and copied wedding dresses of all time. So we had the perfect starting point for a gorgeous, lush, romantic novel inspired by this incredible woman. So we started to research Grace's life and to understand what had led her to meeting Prince Rainier and what happened next. How did this whirlwind romance play out? How was the wedding organised? How was it received by the locals in Monaco? And how did Grace, a young woman, 26 years old, at the pinnacle of her acting career, she'd recently won her first Oscar, how did she feel? If you strip away the celebrity and everything that we sort of view from a distance, what did that young woman feel like? So that was really where we started from. But we also were wondering what was it like for people around Grace and involved in that wedding event, but from a distance. So from there, we created our two fictional characters, Sophie and James, who really drive the narrative of the story in Meet Me in Monaco. And Grace Kelly really acts as a sort of fairy godmother who interacts and intersects with their lives and really is the reason the two of them meet. So Sophie is a young French woman who has inherited her father's perfume business. Sophie is an artisan perfumer and is a very romantic, passionate young woman. So there's a lot of the sort of chemistry, the alchemy of perfume making in Sophie's story. And James is a British photographer working for the press who becomes part of that media circus that became enchanted by Grace Kelly and wanted to write and report on this amazing global event. And Grace really leads Sophie and James into each other's lives. So there was a lot for us to research, not only Grace Kelly, of which there's an awful lot written, some of which says her and the prince went on to have a very happy, loving relationship, some of which says that wasn't the case at all, and that they had a very difficult, troubled relationship, and that he insisted she give up her acting career, and that she was very regretful of that. So there was lots of different angles for us to consider in writing this book. And of course, as part of researching all of that, we had to go to Monaco. So Heather, as you know, lives in the States. I'm here in Ireland. So we literally met in Monaco. We spent just short of a week together on the Riviera in Nice, in Monaco, and we visited Grasse, which is the perfume capital of Europe, and where our fictional perfumer Sophie Duval's perfumery is based. And we had a fabulous day taking part in a perfume making class in one of the most iconic French perfume houses of Molinard. And we made perfume, and we learned about the many, many complicated processes involved and the different elements of every perfume. And one of the elements that we were taught in that class is that every scent has different layers, and these are known as the top or the head notes, the middle or the heart notes, and then the base notes. And these are the different scents that make up a perfume that you smell as the perfume settles on the skin. So the top notes are the scent that you first smell when you spritz the perfume or smell a perfume. And then it mellows a little and different fragrances come through. And then the base notes are the ones that last the longest. And any of you who wear perfume regularly will recognize that the scent kind of changes as you've worn it for a couple of hours. And we were so fascinated with this sort of alchemy process of mixing different scents. So maybe you had violet and grass and mint as a top note. And then in the middle notes of the perfume would be something like musk or vanilla. And then a base note might be something like grass or cocoa. There were so many different hundreds of scents. We were dizzy with scent by the end. And those three aspects of a perfume helped us to structure the book. So we thought, gosh, that's actually very similar to a romantic falling in love, the sort of first flushes of passion and how a relationship settles over time. So the book is structured in three parts of those top notes, heart notes, and base notes. And it really mirrors how Grace develops from this young Hollywood star into a wife and mother, and how Sophie and James's relationship also shifts and changes over time. So it just felt like a really lovely, authentic way for a book based around love and around a young perfumer. It made sense. And the reason we chose Sophie as a young perfumer associated some way with the wedding is that actually is based in fact. So Grace Kelly did have a bespoke perfume created for her by a perfume house called Creed, and it was made specifically for her wedding. So when we researched this, we thought, aha, I wonder what that would have been like for the perfume maker, and who was that? So we created a fictional version of that. But there were some gorgeous details about Grace Kelly's wedding dress, which was created and designed by Helen Rose, who worked for MGM Studios and had created a lot of Grace's iconic dresses in movies like High Society and Catch a Thief. And she made the wedding dress for Grace, and it was shipped from America to Monaco in a steel packing crate that was stuffed with tissue paper, spritzed with this particular fragrance that had been commissioned for her wedding. So there was lots of lovely detail about who was involved in the wedding. Obviously, the paparazzi. It was one of the first times really that paparazzi was used as a phrase. This media circus surrounding and almost intruding on this young woman's life. And we found some incredible footage of press conferences that took place with Grace Kelly before she left New York to marry Prince Rainier, and just how crazy it was and how close everybody stood to her and how intrusive the questions were. Really, it's shocking to watch now. You can Google it on YouTube. You'll find those bits of footage and footage of the wedding and preparations in Monaco, these gorgeous old Pathé newsreel films, which really made our research very rich and a great way to sort of soak up the atmosphere. It was what was happening at the time. So yeah, we had an amazing time in France researching the book. We had great fun again writing two different characters in Sophie and James, and then a character who we sort of wrote together in Grace, and a fictional newspaper reporter who reports on what's happening in the lead up to this wedding. So it really was a gorgeous, fun book to write. Very different, as I said, to writing about war. Pure escapism. We've had some fabulous feedback from people who have just fallen into these pages. And again, at the moment when we can't travel and it's difficult to ever imagine traveling again, to literally stay in your home and travel to the French Riviera and to be part of this incredibly romantic, iconic wedding event. And if any of you are interested in old Hollywood or in that era, that golden era, then hopefully this is one for you as well. As I said, it comes in hardcover or in smaller paperback. And our publisher did a gorgeous job on the interior design of the book. So there's Miss Kelly herself. And this is, as I was saying about the top notes, the head notes, heart notes, and base notes. And there's a little bit at the start of each part of the book with an illustration and what that phase of the perfume actually means. So there was some lovely stuff done there. And there's other photographs of Grace in the book as well. And we also include an essay at the back about our research and about other things we discovered about Grace Kelly during our research and what she went on to do as a princess. And we wrote a little bit about why we felt it was interesting to write about somebody like her. So I hope you'll enjoy those little essays at the back of the book as well. So yeah, pure Hollywood escapism, a ray of sunshine, which I think we could all do with at the moment. So this was Heather and I's second book, which was published last year, and we had a fabulous time. I travelled over to the States, and gosh, it seems like another world now, but we went on a whirlwind tour around 6 states and did about 15 events and met hundreds of readers, and it was just such fun and so lovely to engage with people about such a lovely book about. So yeah, happy times, very fond memories, and maybe some of you are watching who we met on the road, and thank you for coming to meet us and hear us talk. And we are writing another book together, so if you've enjoyed Last Christmas in Paris and Meet Me in Monaco, then you'll be pleased to hear there is a third Gaynor Webb collaboration, which we're just finishing up early drafts as I speak, and that should be with you for spring in 2021. Slightly different era style again, which we'll tell you more about as we get closer to publication. But it is a book that was inspired by Nellie Bly, who was an incredible, talented, independent woman who was a journalist and an investigative reporter. And she actually took on herself to travel around the world in less than 80 days and thereby beat the record set by Phileas Fogg in the novel by Jules Verne. And of course, she did beat his record. She travelled around the world in 72 days, a woman alone in 1889. Incredible, never been done before. So she has inspired Heather and I's next book, in which two sisters set out to emulate part of Nellie's journey. And it's all about their relationship and how traveling can help you find out an awful lot about yourself as well as about the places that you go. So lots more to come on that. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing about Grace Kelly, Meet Me in Monaco. Go and Google the wedding dress if you've never seen it. Grace Kelly's wedding dress is just beautiful. Kate Middleton, who married Prince William, actually used Grace Kelly's wedding dress as style inspiration for her own. And you can actually see some of the similarities in it. It's beautiful. And Heather and I visited the cathedral in Monaco where the wedding was held and where Grace and Prince Rainier are buried, where their tombs are. So that was incredibly emotional. There were lots of people leaving roses as a tribute. It was very moving to be there, to see such a beautiful setting that had had such a happy occasion and then ended in very sad situations and circumstances. But I will leave you to read about that if you're not aware of how the relationship and Grace's life played out. So happy reading. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you again for listening. There is, of course, a copy of the book to give away to one of you who leaves me a comment. So just leave a comment below if you think anybody else would like to read the book and like to enter the giveaway. Tag them, share it, various ways to let people know. And I'll pick a winner by the end of the week and get that sent out to you. So thank you so much for listening again. Stay safe, have a good week. And I will be back next week to talk about my new book, which I now have in my hands. So 2 covers. These are the proofs. These aren't the finished books. But the same book, 2 different covers, 2 titles. When We Were Young and Brave and The Bird in the Bamboo Cage. Same exact book, just different covers for different countries, different titles. And I will be talking about that, and we'll have giveaways in a week's time. So thank you so much for listening. Take care and talk to you soon.